On April 14, 2018, in a quiet coastal town called Clearwater Beach, Florida, a newly married couple arrived to celebrate their honeymoon. A brutal crime would take place, ending in tragedy. The couple was Zach, a 28-year-old man from Atlanta, Georgia, and his new wife Jenna, a 27-year-old nurse from Charlotte, North Carolina. They had been dating for 4 years before deciding to get married. Their wedding took place on April 9, 2018, just a few days before they traveled to Florida. Family and friends described them as a happy, loving couple who rarely argued and often posted cheerful pictures together on social media. Zach worked as a freelance graphic designer. He had the flexibility to work from anywhere and seemed too excited to start a new chapter of life with Jenna. Jenna, on the other hand, had taken 2 weeks off from the hospital, where she worked in the emergency department. This honeymoon was supposed to be a well-deserved break for both of them after months of wedding planning and busy work schedules. The couple checked into a luxury resort named Ocean View Suites on April 12th. Their room was in the 5th floor overlooking the beach. According to hotel staff, they appeared completely normal. They spent the afternoon swimming, walking along the shore, and having dinner at the hotel's rooftop restaurant. Several guests even remembered seeing them laughing and holding hands as they watched the sunset. No one noticed anything unusual. Clearwater Beach was considered one of the safest vacation spots in Florida. Crime rates were low and violent crimes were almost unheard of. That is why when news of Jenna's death shocked the community, people could hardly believe it. A woman murdered on her honeymoon inside a well-guarded hotel was something out of a nightmare. Rumors spread quickly, and within hours the story became national news. In the days following the incident, reporters from all over the country arrived at Clearwater Beach. News van scouted the hotel entrance and police were forced to block off parts of the area. Everyone wanted to know how such a terrible event could happen in such a peaceful place, but as the investigation unfolded, what shocked the public even more was the suspect behind the crime. Her own husband, Zach. Why would a husband kill his wife just days after their wedding? What really happened inside room 507 of Ocean View Suites? And what was the truth behind Zach, the man who once claimed to love Jenna more than anything? This story is not fiction. It is based on a real crime that occurred on April 14, 2018 in Clearwater Beach. The case revealed dark secrets hidden beneath what seemed like a perfect marriage and left many people questioning how well we can ever truly know someone. In the following parts, we will take you through the details of this shocking crime step by step, beginning with how the couple's honeymoon took a deadly turn on the morning of April 14, 2018. Clearwater Beach woke up to a clear sky and calm waves. For most tourists, it was another perfect vacation day, but inside Ocean View Suites on the 5th floor, room 507, remained silent. No one had seen Zach and Jenna come down for breakfast, which was unusual since the couple had reserved a full-day boat tour that morning. When the cleaning staff knocked on their door around 10:45 a.m., there was no answer at first. The hotel staff thought the couple might still be sleeping after a late night, but when noon passed with no response, and the tour company called the hotel asking about the couple's whereabouts, hotel management grew concerned. By 2:45 p.m., my supervisor used the master key to enter room 507. What they found inside changed everything. Jenna was discovered lying on the bed completely still. At first glance, it looked like she was asleep, but when the supervisor tried to wake her, it became clear she was not breathing. There were no obvious injuries, no blood, and no clear signs of violence. But Jenna was cold to the touch. Emergency services were immediately called. Paramedics arrived within minutes and confirmed that Jenna had been dead for several hours. But where was Zach? The room was in perfect order. Suitcases were neatly packed in the corner, the bed covers were slightly disturbed, and 2 coffee cups sat half-finished on the table. There were no broken objects, no forced entry, and no immediate evidence of a struggle. The balcony door was locked from the inside. Zach's phone, wallet, and watch were all missing from the room, but Jenna's belongings, including her purse and phone, remained on the nightstand. Security cameras were checked and footage revealed that Zach had been seen leaving the hotel alone at 4:30 a.m. He was wearing a gray hoodie and carrying a small backpack after that. No one saw him again. Police were called to the scene at 1:30 p.m., and within hours the hotel was partially closed off as an active crime scene. Guests were shocked. Some said they had noticed nothing unusual. Others remembered hearing soft noises from room 507 around 4 a.m. But nothing loud enough to raise alarms. There were no reports of arguments or shouting. Jenna's family was informed that afternoon. Her parents, devastated and confused, said they had spoken to Jenna the evening before. According to them, she sounded happy and excited about the trip. There was no mention of any problems between her and Zach. She told me they were having a wonderful time, her mother said in an interview later. They were planning to visit the aquarium the next day by nightfall. Zach was officially listed as a missing person and a person of interest in the investigation of his wife's sudden death. Police began searching the area, checking transportation, hubs, and interviewing anyone who might have seen him after he left the hotel. The situation grew more serious with each passing hour. What could have happened in those early hours of the morning? Why would Zach leave his wife alone in the middle of the night? And was Jenna's death natural, accidental, or something far worse as authorities launched a full investigation? The quiet town of Clearwater Beach realized that this honeymoon story had turned into a disturbing mystery. The triggering moment of this entire case began in the early hours of April 13, 2018, between 2 a.m. and 4:00 a.m. inside room 507 at Ocean View Suites, Clearwater Beach. According to the hotel's electronic keycard records, the couple had returned to their room at 9:47 p.m. on April 12th, after having dinner. Surveillance footage showed Zach and Jenna stepping out of the elevator, appearing calm and smiling. Jenna was holding Zach's arm, and they both nodded politely to a hotel staff member passing by. This was the last time anyone besides Zach saw Jenna alive. Phone records later showed that Jenna sent a final message to her mother at 10:15 p.m. saying, "Good night, Mom. We're having such a great time. Love you." After that, her phone showed no activity. However, at exactly 3:12 a.m., something unusual happened. Security cameras in the hallway recorded Zach quietly exiting the room alone. He was dressed in casual clothes, carrying a small black backpack, and appeared calm. He walked directly to the lobby, nodded to the night staff without speaking, and left the hotel. Through the main entrance outside, he was last seen walking north along Shoreline Drive. He did not take a car, taxi, or any form of transportation. After that, Zach vanished into the night. What made this moment suspicious was that Jenna did not check out with him. Their honeymoon was supposed to last another 4 days. The boat tour they had booked for 90 a.m. was on. Jenna had been excited about 4 weeks. Friend said she had talked about swimming with dolphins and watching the sunset from the water. It seemed impossible that she would simply stay in the room or cancel those plans without reason. The real trigger came when hotel staff entered room 507 later that day and found Jenna lifeless on the bed. Paramedics estimated her time of death to be somewhere between 2:30 a.m. and 4 a.m., meaning Zach had likely still been inside the room when she died. But what caused her death? At first, there were no clear answers. There were no signs of external injuries or any struggle. Jenna appeared peaceful, as though she had simply gone to sleep and never woken up, but detectives immediately grew suspicious. How does a healthy 29-year-old woman die in her sleep on her honeymoon without any known health problems? The fact that Zach had left without telling anyone, taken some of his personal belongings, and disappeared before his wife was found dead made this case even more alarming. Authorities feared the worst, that Jenna's death was not an accident but an intentional act committed by the one person closest to her. By the afternoon of April 13th, an official homicide investigation was opened. Zach was no longer just a missing person. He became the prime suspect in his wife's sudden death. The trigger was clear. A young woman was dead under suspicious circumstances, and her husband had vanished into thin air. What was meant to be the happiest week of their lives had turned into a chilling crime scene, and the question on everyone's mind was now the same. Where was Zach? The Clearwater Police Department officially opened the investigation into Jenna's death on the afternoon of April 13, 2018 by 3 p.m. Detectives arrived at Ocean View Suites to examine room 507 and gather any possible evidence. The first step was securing the room. Investigators carefully photographed the scene, noting the position of Jenna's body. On the bed she was lying on her back, fully dressed in light sleepwear with no visible injuries or signs of struggle. On the nightstand, officers found her phone, a half-empty glass of water, and a small bottle of sleep aid pills. However, early reports from Jenna's family confirmed that she rarely took medication and she had no history of medical conditions that would explain sudden death. Detectives interviewed hotel staff guests on the 5th floor, and anyone who may have seen Zach in the hours before he disappeared. Most of the employees described the couple as polite and friendly. The night receptionist remembered Zach leaving the hotel just after 4 a.m. Walking calmly through the lobby. He did not mention where he was going, nor did he appear in a hurry. Police quickly collected surveillance footage from all exits, elevators, and surrounding streets. The cameras confirmed that Zach left the hotel on foot, wearing a gray hoodie and dark jeans, carrying what looked like a backpack. No cameras caught where he went. After walking north past the hotel, there were no records of him using public transportation, and nearby taxi drivers reported no pickups in that area around that time. Meanwhile, Jenna's body was transported to the Pelis County Medical Examiner office for an autopsy. Early statements from the medical team suggested no immediate obvious cause of death, which only deepened the mystery. Toxicology tests were ordered, but results would take several weeks. Investigators also looked into Zach and Jenna's background. Friends and family described them as a normal, happy couple. They had no history of domestic violence. Their relationship appeared healthy, and the wedding just 4 days earlier had gone smoothly. However, detectives were cautious. They began reviewing Zach's financial records, phone activity, and emails to find any clues that might explain his disappearance. What they found next raised serious concerns. Bank statements revealed that 3 hours after leaving the hotel, Zach withdrew $23,000 in cash from an ATM in a nearby town called Danaan, approximately 15 miles away. This was captured on a security camera in the video. Zach kept his hood up and avoided looking at the camera after the withdrawal. There was no further activity on his bank accounts or credit cards. Police expanded their search, sending officers to nearby airports, bus stations, and train terminals. Alerts were sent statewide. Zach was now officially wanted for questioning in connection with his wife's death. Detectives also began speaking with those closest to the couple. One of Jenna's best friends shared a disturbing detail. 2 weeks before the wedding, Jenna had confided that Zach was acting distant and stressed. He had been receiving a lot of mysterious phone calls at night, and when Jenna asked about them, Zach claimed they were just work calls. Still, Jenna felt uneasy, though she never imagined anything serious. This detail made investigators wonder, had Zach been planning something long before their honeymoon even started? As the first full day of the investigation ended, police faced 2 urgent tasks: finding Zach and uncovering the truth behind what happened in room 507. What started as a dream honeymoon had now turned into a race to catch a husband who might be hiding deadly secrets, and the clock was ticking. As the investigation into Jenna's death continued, the case took a surprising and unexpected turn. On April 15, 2018, just 2 days after her body was discovered. Until this point, police believed they were looking for a man on the run, someone who had possibly escaped custody to avoid capture, but everything changed with one phone call at 9:30 a.m. The Clearwater Police Department received a tip from a local fisherman named George Keller. George reported seeing a man matching Zach's description camping near a quiet wooded area along the Clearwater Trail, only about 7 miles from the hotel. The fisherman said, "Oh." The man looked exhausted, wearing the same gray hoodie described in the missing persons alert. Most importantly, the man appeared to be alone and was seen carrying a small black backpack. Back within the hour, police officers were sent to search the area. By 11:15 a.m., Monsieur Zach was found sitting by a small fire near the trail, staring out at the water when officers approached him. Zach did not resist. In fact, according to the police report, Zach calmly stood up, raised his hands, and said, "I was wondering when you'd find me." Zach was immediately taken into custody and brought to the Clearwater Police Department for questioning. Investigators expected him to deny involvement or claim ignorance about Jenna's death. But instead, what Zach shared during the interrogation completely shifted the case. Zach confessed that he had been planning to leave Jenna, but not to kill her. He claimed that during their honeymoon he realized he couldn't go through with them. He said that financial pressure, personal problems, and doubts about their future had been building for months. He told detectives that on the night of April 12th, after returning from dinner, he and Jenna had a long conversation. According to Zach, he admitted to her that he wanted a divorce. Zach described Jenna as being heartbroken and angry. He claimed she cried for hours before taking several sleeping pills to calm down. He said she eventually went to bed, and he left the room quietly at 4 a.m. to clear his head. Planning never to turn when asked why he didn't call the police or anyone else when he later heard Jenna had died. Zach claimed he was in shock and afraid of being blamed. However, detectives quickly found problems with his story. First, Zach never mentioned any argument to friends or family. Second, Jenna's autopsy revealed no large amounts of sleeping pills in her system. Most importantly, the medical examiner discovered small bruises on Jenna's neck that suggested manual strangulation. It was no longer just a theory Jenna had been murdered. Zach's version of events now seemed impossible. What was initially presented as a sudden death or perhaps even an accident had become something much darker. Zach's calm behavior, his decision to run and hide, and the physical evidence from the autopsy all pointed in one clear direction. And yet the biggest twist came when police uncovered Zach's financial records in full. Investigators found out that just 1 week before the wedding, Zach had taken out a $500,000 life insurance policy on Jenna, listing himself as the sole beneficiary. The timing was impossible to ignore. It now seemed clear that Zach may have married Jenna no doubt of love, but as part of a calculated plan. The investigation, which began as a search for answers, had now become a search for justice. The perfect honeymoon, the beautiful hotel, and the happy newlyweds had all been part of an illusion, and the truth behind Jenna's death was finally starting to surface. With Zach now in custody, and his story full of lies, the investigation entered its most intense phase. The evidence against him was growing quickly, and the case that once seemed like a tragic accident had turned into a clear case of murder. However, Zach continued to insist on his innocence regarding Jenna's death. He claimed he found her asleep before leaving the hotel and said he never laid a hand on her, but detectives had already heard enough. Now they needed solid proof to bring him to trial. The autopsy report, released on April 16, 2018, confirmed what investigators feared. Jenna had been strangled to death. Faint bruising around her neck, small fractures in her throat area, and tiny broken blood vessels in her eyes, all pointed to manual strangulation. The time of death was estimated between 2:30 a.m. and 3:30 a.m., a time frame when Zach was still inside the room. But the pressure against Zach didn't stop. Their investigators recovered text messages from Zach's phone that had been deleted, but later restored. These texts were sent to an unknown number in the weeks leading up to the wedding. In several of the messages, Zach expressed deep frustration over financial troubles and hinted at a way out of his problems. One message dated February 27th. Read, after this wedding I won't have to worry about money anymore. Detectives traced the unknown number and discovered it belonged to a former co-worker of Zach's, someone who had previously been involved in small-scale fraud schemes. With him, it became clear that Zach was not just a man under stress, was a man desperate for money, willing to do anything to fix his situation. Meanwhile, Jenna's family demanded answers. They held a press conference on April 17th, standing together outside the Clearwater Police Department. Her mother spoke tearfully. Jenna trusted Zach with her heart and her life. We want justice for our daughter. She didn't deserve this. As public attention grew, the media descended on Clearwater Beach. News outlets from across Florida and beyond reported daily updates on the case. Headlines read: Honeymoon horror husband under suspicion, and love lies and murder in Clearwater. Zach's defense attorney, assigned shortly after his arrest, began arguing that the evidence was all circumstantial. He claimed Zach left the hotel before Jenna's death, and that someone else could have entered the room. But this theory quickly fell apart. There was no sign of forced entry. The balcony was locked from the inside. Hotel keycard records showed no one else entered the room except Zach and Jenna. Then came the final blow. Detectives found on Zach's fingerprints on Jenna's neck. The forensic team confirmed the partial prints matched his exactly, and the pattern was consistent with someone applying force. At this point, the case against Zach was undeniable. Prosecutors began preparing first-degree murder charges, and the court scheduled the first hearing for April 20th, 2018. But behind the scenes, Zach's calm attitude started to crack during a second round of questioning. He asked detectives quietly, "What happens if I tell you the truth?" For investigators, this moment was key. After all the lies, the evidence, and the shocking twists, it finally seemed like Zach was ready to confess, and the full truth of what happened that night in room 507 was about to be revealed on April 18th, 2018. After days of denying any involvement, Zach finally broke his silence during a late-night interrogation with his lawyer. Present, Zach confessed to what really happened on the night of April 12th, inside room 507 at Ocean View Suites, Clearwater Beach. With his head down and voice shaking, Zach admitted that the entire honeymoon had been part of a plan. He explained that months before the wedding, he had fallen deep into debt from failed business deals and personal loans when he realized he couldn't pay off what he owed. Zach came up with what he thought was the perfect solution. He would marry Jenna, take out a life insurance policy on her, and make her death look like an accident. Zach revealed that on the night of April 12th, after returning Toto, the hotel room, he waited until Jenna fell asleep around 2:30 a.m. While she was in a deep sleep, he quietly placed his hands around her neck and strangled her until she stopped breathing. He told detectives that it happened faster than I thought, and that Jenna never even woke up after killing her. Zach carefully staged the scene to make it look like Jenna had simply gone to bed peacefully. He wiped down surfaces, arranged the room neatly, and then packed a few things into his backpack at 4 a.m. He calmly left the hotel, hoping the cleaning staff would discover Jenna's body later in the morning. Zach's plan was to disappear before anyone realized what had happened. He intended to leave Florida entirely and disappear before the autopsy revealed the truth, but his plan failed. His sighting on the trail and the quick work of local police stopped him before he could escape. Most importantly, the physical evidence, the financial records, and his confession sealed the case. On April 20th, 2018, Zach was officially charged with first-degree murder and insurance fraud. He was denied bail and held at the Pellis County Jail while awaiting trial. The community of Clearwater Beach and people across the country following the case were shocked that such a carefully planned crime could happen during something as joyful as a honeymoon. At the trial in September 2018, Zach's full plan was revealed to the jury. The prosecution presented text messages, financial documents, the life insurance policy, hotel surveillance footage, and the full autopsy report. Jenna's family gave emotional testimony about her life, her dreams, and the excitement she felt about her future, with Zach never knowing that the man she loved was planning her death. After only 4 hours of deliberation. Thanks for watching True Crime Cases.